be the man, you gotta beat the man. And Spence is not the man at 147.
Who's the man?
Keith Thurman.
I don't know about that.
We're talking about the eyeball
I'm
test.
talking about the eyeball
The
test.
eyeball
When I see Keith Thurman, I see very, very good. When I see Errol Spence Jr., I see special.
Yeah, I do too.
The eye test can lie to you.
He'll remember what you just said. Errol Spence will remember what you just said on national television, Terrence.
And then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stand up and say, let's get it on.
What's up, boxing world? We got some things we need to talk about. So I'm seeing and hearing a lot of talks about Canelo Alvarez facing Terence Crawford potentially after the Jermell Charlo and Canelo Alvarez fight. This is too much. Can we stop? Can we just stop? I mean, how do you know Canelo's even going to beat Jermell Charlo? Don't get me wrong. He has broke everybody that moved up a few weight classes to fight him. So I get it, but Jermell does have a good chance to beat Canelo Alvarez, especially with his athleticism. If he gets past Canelo Alvarez, a Terence Crawford Canelo Alvarez fight is watered down. It's watered down. It's not even the same fight. First of all, he's jumping a few weight classes to fight Canelo. Terence Crawford is not even fighting at middleweight right now. He's fighting at welterweight. And you guys are talking about him jumping, what's that? That would be 3 weight classes to fight Canelo. I get it, strive to be great, but Terence Crawford has other fish to fry before he can even think about a Canelo Alvarez fight. But you go on these shows and these people, they ask these questions that are just, it's like, why do you skip over Jaron Boots Ennis and go right to Canelo? I don't care what Terence Crawford says. If he tries to diminish Jaron Boots Ennis, I would stay right there. I would not jump to Canelo Alvarez. To me, it feels like you only know main names. That's the only name you can bring up. Somebody who's very, very, very popular. It don't make no sense. I'm tired of these fighters being hypocrites. You use excuses to duck fighters, or let's take out ducking. Let's say you use excuses to not fight fighters because of this, that, and the third. But when previous fighters who were champions did it to you, you cried about it. Oh man, that's just an excuse. He don't want to fight me because he know the chances of him losing are, the risk is too great and the risk doesn't match the reward. But when somebody is chasing your tail, you do the same thing to them.
What about Boots? Boots is the mandatory. He's calling you out now.
A lot of people like boost this, boost that, boost this. Fighting Boots is a lose-lose situation. I win, they're going to say, oh, well, he was young, he wasn't ready. He was talented, he was skillful, but you got the experience over him. You got, so much more than this kid that never been tested before. Me fighting Boots would be like, okay, well, you beat Boots. It's not a mega fight, big challenges. I'm trying to go up and wait and fight Charlo. Because that's something that's history in the making. It's a lot at stake. There's nothing really at stake with fighting Boots. I'm at the tail end of my career, and I'm trying to make things make sense. Where I am at in my career right now, I didn't fall my ass off to get to where I am. And I deserve to do whatever the fuck I want to do. And I don't care what nobody say, how anybody feel, or any of that.
The hypocrisy. Keith Thurman did it to Errol Spence, and now Crawford is doing it to Jaron Boots Ennis. And maybe Mayweather did it to Thurman, and so on and so on. But this has got to stop, because all we're going to hear is that the fight happened too late, whenever these fights do happen. Every single time. Oh, if they would have fought 5 years ago, they already saying that with the Terence Crawford Errol Spence fight. Well, if they would have fought before the crash and all these other things, don't you get tired of it? That's why the UFC is running things. They make great fights. The best fight the best. We got to stop doing this. Now, boxing has put on a great show this year. I love the fights this year. But keep it going. Keep it going. What does Terence Crawford do if Canelo Alvarez loses? Exactly. What does he do? Because that fight definitely won't be as lucrative as it would have been if Canelo had beat Jermell Charlo. We don't know what's going to happen. But to me, the roadmap for Terence Crawford is to finish his rematch clause with Errol Spence. If Jermell Charlo gets past Canelo Alvarez twice, then fight Jermell Charlo. But in the meantime, if Terence Crawford gets past Errol Spence a second time, then Terence Crawford could either move up in weight and fight Tim Tszyu to prepare for a Jermell Charlo fight, should Jermell Charlo get past Canelo Alvarez. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing it even if Jermell Charlo doesn't get past Canelo Alvarez, because he definitely has a tough hill to climb, a tough mountain to climb. That, Canelo Alvarez punches hard. Everybody that has come up to his weight class, he's broke him. Amir Khan, he knocked him spark out. Triple G knocked out Kell Brook. Well, not knocked him out, broke his face. Broke his face. Orbital bone, whatever you want to call it. It's broke. It was broke. This is what happens when these lighter fighters move up to fight these bigger fighters much too soon. And we don't know what the outcome is going to be with Jermell Charlo and Canelo Alvarez, but I'm rooting for Jermell. I hope Jermell, pulls out the victory, and his athleticism, I do believe, can carry the fight the way that, he needs this fight to, go. Because if he lets Canelo Alvarez, if Jermell lets Canelo Alvarez land clean shots, it's over. It's over. Now, I know Jermell has shown he can take a punch, but he ain't been hit as hard as he gonna get hit, when he facing Canelo Alvarez. That's just a fact. Now, if Terence Crawford doesn't want to move up and fight Tim Tszyu, you know where he got to go. Jerron Boots Ennis. That's where you need to be, man. Fight Jerron Boots Ennis. You fighters are on record. You got a camera in your face and a mic in your face. And the things you say are recorded. And people can hold you accountable for these things, because you start to look, a little suspect when you're on camera talking about fighters who did not give you the opportunity to fight because of this, that, and the third, but then you turn around and use those same excuses to not fight a fighter who's coming up, who's dangerous. Yes, I know the risk doesn't match the reward. You can't what does that have to do with you getting in that ring? Because otherwise, you know what you're going to be perceived as. I don't care what you say. You ran. That's it. That's all. Because if a fighter didn't give you the chance that was at the top, where would you be? So we got to stop this notion that a fighter got to have all this clout in order to make the fight with these top fighters, because it's hard to get that clout if you don't get a chance to fight a top fighter. Now, yeah, maybe you have to accept a deal that, is not up to your standards, But hey, that's a part of the game. So if the fighter is, if it's going to be a great risk for you to lose, I do understand like being a little bit more demanding when it comes to the purse, the money. I get that. It's like, hey, 80% of these fans, or that might be a little extreme. I would say 60 to 65% of these fans, they minds. You only bring in 30 to 35% of the fans, So I get more of a chop. And let's say it was 80% of the fans is for me and 20% for you. It is what it is. But you cannot take away the hard work someone is putting in to get to the top. You cannot keep doing this, because if this keeps up, we are going to miss some of the best fights and opportunities in boxing because of people just not giving fighters the chance. Just from that alone, you're going to be drowned out. And when you hop in the ring, you can get hit with a lucky punch. A lucky punch could injure you for life, or you could just lose the fight. So let's not prolong these fights anymore. Let's let these fights happen. It would behoove you, it would do you, a little bit more, honestly, to fight them sooner anyway. Because if you don't fight them sooner, they're just going to keep gaining experience. And then when you finally do fight them, the risk is actually much greater than it was before when you use that as an excuse to duck them. That's what's going to happen. And that's just a fact, Jack. It's time to stop it. Fight the fighters that you should be fighting. That's what needs to happen in boxing. Jaron Boots Ennis, he is the boogeyman now. He's the boogeyman. Just like David Benavidez was the boogeyman. Because they know hungry fighters is going to fight their heart out. And people don't want to deal with that, I guess, because they don't want to lose. And we got to stop this notion that if a fighter has an L, that we can't support him anymore. That's garbage. That is garbage. That does not make any sense. Our greatest heroes in the boxing game have L's. They have L's in life and in the ring. So, I'm a fan of the Jaron Boots Ennis versus Terence Crawford fight. I think that fight should happen, and we got to stop overlooking it. Because there is some history there between the two. Let me show you.
What we know?
Y'all know everything.
I don't know nothing. I'm trying to find out what I know. Enlighten me.
What you mean, enlighten me? You for Devanese and you for me.
You jumped up out of my sanction body to go fight in the IBF. So what I know?
What you mean?
What you mean? What I mean? Was you ranked in the WBA or not?
Yo, it don't even matter. Yo,
all right, catch up, little homie. Catch up, man. If it don't matter, catch up.
Yo, you picked
catch up.
Ebenezer was way under.
You just said it don't matter. Catch up. I'm talking about before that.
He's not about it. We already know he's not about what he's talking about.
I'm not about what? I'm not about what?
You don't want to fight.
You said I'm not about what?
You don't want to fight.
Man, go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Go ahead.
You dreaming, man. You talking to your dreams, man.
Don't fight. Yo, we asked for that fight plenty of times, yo.
When?
Plenty of times.
What's plenty? When?
Man, you got right.
And you friend.
You know.
Now, should they fight, this would be a very interesting fight. Because there's a great chance that either fighter could come out with the W. They both switch hitters. They're both switch hitters. Left and righties. So it could go either way for these fighters in the ring. Should they hop in the ring, because styles make fights. Now, if we don't get to see that fight, then that would be because Terence Crawford moved up and he's fighting at 154. But if he stays at 147, it should be Jaron Boots Ennis after Errol Spence. But if he's going up, I like to see him in there against Tim Tszyu. And hopefully Jermell Charlo beats Canelo Alvarez twice, and then we get the Jermell Charlo versus Terence Crawford fight. I think that is the mega fight. I think that fight is the mega fight. I do. I think Jermell Charlo and Terence Crawford are going to do numbers. They're going to do numbers. Simply off the fact that the backstory between them. The backstory is nuts. You got Jermell Charlo always, hyping up his bro Spence. And you got Terence Crawford not liking the hype. Then you got Terence Crawford knocking out Errol Spence and talking to, Jermell Charlo in the crowd. Then you got Jermell Charlo, going around and saying he want to knock him out. He wants to knock Terence Crawford Spark out. And if that fight happens, the press conferences are going to be through the roof. So that would be the fight I want to see. Regardless if Jermell does lose to Canelo Alvarez, but if Terence Crawford stays at 147, then I'd like to see him fight Jaron Boots Ennis. And that's all I got for you guys right now. I got to get ready to check out of here, go to work. Tell me what you guys think. Good day. I'm out. Good rising. Peace.